Charles Darwin's theory about how a certain type of island is formed was widely accepted for almost 200 years. He surmised that the ringed islands in question were the result of ancient volcanoes around which a coral reef grew. When those volcanoes eventually died off and crumbled away, they would leave a ring of coral forming what we now know as the coral atoll. Somewhat recently, Darwin's assumption that volcanoes must be involved has been called into question by geologists who say that changing sea levels and wave action might be enough to explain the coral atoll phenomenon. No volcano necessary. And so geology adds another layer to the story the Earth tells, if we're willing to listen. This particular uninhabited atoll in the Pacific Ocean is one of 8 atolls known as the Phoenix Islands. It is named Manra. Charles Darwin himself visited the place during the time that he was coming up with his theory of how atolls form. Before that, it was a part of the Phoenix Islands settlement scheme, which sought to reduce overpopulation in the British Gilbert Islands and expand British influence in the Western Pacific. And so, in 1938, a small village was constructed with basic infrastructure, and each settler given coconut palms. Ultimately, the settlement failed because of the Second World War, declining copra demand, and drought conditions. And before that, in the late 1800s, the island was mined by John T. Arundel, who, along with his company, spent a lot of time on the islands, in pursuit of either guano or copra. In the case of Manra, which at the time was called Sydney Island, it was the guano. His second daughter was born on the island. Her name was Sydney. But long before all of that, the atoll had prehistoric inhabitants. Remnants of platforms, enclosures, and wells serve as physical evidence that potentially 2 people groups were on the island prior to recorded history, people from Polynesia and from Micronesia. In this way, the island tells its story, seldom linear, never exacting. Intriguing, but only if one is satisfied being left with more questions than answers, more uncertainty than certainty.